Welcome to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri and I'm with Azim Jamal. And today we're talking about the book, What You Seek is Seeking You. Very interesting subject, Azim.
Thank you.
I just want to know more about the book. What is it all about and who did you write with?
So Brian Tracy, my colleague, my friend, and myself, we've co-authored the book. It's the first time both of us have actually written a fable. It's a fable, it's a story. But in the story there are 16 chapters. So the story basically is about a corporate CEO going to Turkey, and the flight is delayed. And he goes to buy some food, and he's looking for a table to sit, and there's no table available or no chairs available except for one, which is right at the end where a lady is sitting. So he goes right at the end and he asks the lady, is anybody sitting here? The lady says no. So he sits down and he's eating his food. And he's a very much corporate guy. He doesn't want to be bothered by anybody. But this lady's a bit chatty. She's chatting, right? And so she asked him, what do you do? And so he gives her a very sophisticated answer and what his job is about. And he feels that because if he gives her that kind of answer, she'll keep quiet and shut up, right? But she doesn't shut up. She keeps talking. And so he's eating and they're chatting. And then so happens that they're both in the same flight. And they both happen to sit beside each other. So now they've got many hours of sitting together. And initially they have nothing in common because he's a corporate CEO and she's a Sufi mystical lady who are totally different worlds apart. She's a painter.
Sufi mystical lady, maybe.
She's a painter. She paints. Okay. And she's very much spiritual, and she used to be in the corporate world, left the corporate world, and became more mystic who prays and who does painting and is not too materialistic. And so they were both a world apart. But as they go through the flight and they keep talking and discussing, suddenly they both get fascinated in each other's world. And the story goes on. They get into Turkey and they go their own ways and they meet again and things happen. And by the end of the story, they almost fall in love. So it's like that, right? But there are 16 chapters in the book.
What are the chapters?
So the first chapter in the book is called something to do with authenticity. How do you become authentic, right? And the story is that like this lady, her name is Zoya, and the CEO's name is Richard. And Zoya followed her heart to become a painter because that felt authentic to her. She didn't mind about what people thought of her. People said she's a low loser. She didn't care about that. She wanted to do what her heart was saying, and she was authentic, and she felt good about it. And so this first chapter is about how to become authentic, even though you're not popular, even though people may look down upon you, but you only have one life, and you're leading your life. You're not chasing other people's goals. You're chasing your own goals. Many times in life, if you chase other people's goals, you don't become happy, and they're not also happy. So you're better off chasing your own goals.
Okay. And how was the reaction from the corporate CEO? We're supposed to deliver numbers. We're supposed to make sure that the shareholders are happy, and things. So like
he was
that.
finding that what is she doing? Why is she painting? And he was feeling that she's not successful and she's a lost cause. He didn't tell her that, but deep down, being a corporate guy who's a CEO, who is successful with everything, he was feeling that. But at the same time, when she was talking, he was realizing that he's missing something. And so this was how the beginning of their connection started to happen, when he could, when we admire her for her capacity and her guts to go on her own and do her own thing, and on the other hand, he was looking down upon her. So there was that kind of tension.
Okay, that was authenticity. What is the second chapter about?
Second chapter is the coincidences in life. They happen for a reason. And this whole title of the book, What You Seek is Seeking You, is actually a quote by Rumi. Rumi was a poet. He's one of the most powerful poets in North America. He's number one. But he died in the 14th century or 12th century. He's an old poet. But he wrote stuff that is still relevant today. So he was saying in his quote something to the effect of, what you seek is seeking you.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's where we got the title of the book. So the second chapter is about positive coincidences. So Richard meeting Zoya was a coincidence, but there was a reason for the coincidence. Brian meeting Azim was a coincidence, but there's a reason for our coincidence. At some level I was seeking him, and at some level he was seeking me. Brian is very amazing business guy, one of the top in the world, whereas I'm more the beyond business and beyond balance and business. So I have a synergy of these three, so we are different. and in some way we kind of complement each other.
Okay, and how do we get this sense of understanding that we meet people for a reason? Because sometimes we meet somebody just because you're a corporate CEO and is a painter. We feel like you have to connect to people of my mastermind group. I cannot talk to the painter. But it happened for Zoya and this corporate CEO. How do we now start to understand the importance of, connecting to people regardless of whether our cycles are different?
So Paul, whoever you meet in your life is you attracting that person. You meet people in your life, they're part of your dominant thoughts, because thoughts are things. Whatever you're thinking, you're inviting in your life. So for example, I was flying from Cape Town to Joburg. We had an event I did an event with YPO group in Joburg. Then I went to Cape Town, and the following day I was doing an event with the public for 3,000 people. So I was coming back from Cape Town with my CEO to Cape Town, to Johannesburg, and a lady sitting beside me. So I started talking to this lady, and I told her what I was doing this event next day. She said, I wanted to come to this event, but I cannot come. So we started talking, and then what happened in the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour flight, whatever the time was, I discussed with her what I'm going to talk about. She gave me feedback. And because she was a South African, she gave me some insights about people in South Africa, what they think. So it was actually a good practice for me. But I was looking for somebody, because my CEO already practiced so many times. He can't give me any more tips.
Yeah.
So this new person was a great thing for me to talk about. And it was just perfect, because we were both, me and my CEO, sitting on an aisle beside each other. And this lady was sitting beside me, so I could talk to her without having the CEO in the middle. So it's perfect.
That's good. Okay, let's go to chapter number 3.
Chapter number 3 is about heightened awareness. Great people have heightened awareness. You see, so how do you become aware? So Zoya, for example, was noticing everything the CEO was doing, such that the CEO couldn't find his passport when he went to the counter there. But she knew where he put the passport. She said, you put it in the inside coat. And you were surprised, how did you notice that? So they talked about awareness. People who write journals are very, very aware. And great leaders have heightened awareness, so they notice things other people don't notice. Yeah.
And I want you to help us out for entrepreneurs, for instance, in terms of opportunities and the way Zoya noted, like the way the CEO did put the passport. How this kind of habit can help us become great in our own cycles?
See, you notice things deeply. So you notice habits of your employees, your leaders, your colleagues. You notice habits of your customers. You notice things that make you much more aware.
Okay.
So if you notice things about your customers, the next time you mention something, they'll be impressed that you remembered, my son's name, or my mom being sick, or whatever it is. And so you have that ability to be able to retain things which are relevant in building rapport, building relationships.
Okay, let's go chapter number 5 now.
Chapter number 4. Number 4 is being in the present moment. See, most people are either living in the past or in the future, but not present. So Zoya was very present. The CEO was past and future with baggage. He was worried about his next meeting, and his mind was all over the place. Whereas, Zoya was very present in the moment. She didn't worry about yesterday, about tomorrow. She was very much in the moment, right? And so he noticed that quality. And so the discussion was around why it's important to be in the moment and to expand your time.
And how to achieve that, because for instance, many people in the corporate world are so busy, so much is happening all the time, emails are coming in, they have to think about the future, they have to think about the present, they have to advise people. What is it that people can do to build the capability to be present despite the fact that so many things are happening at the same time?
Yeah, so the idea is that being present actually makes you more productive. People think if I'm present, I'm not thinking of my problems, I might forget something. The reality is that if you're organized, if you write your notes, if you have a book, if you have a journal, then everything's on the paper. But in the moment, you are in the moment, completely present. And so your awareness goes higher, your sharpness goes higher, you can get more done in less time because you're totally present in the moment. You're not swayed by distractions. Okay. And you actually get more done. The clock actually stops because you're so much in the moment. An average human being thinks about 60,000 thoughts a day. 50,000 thoughts out of the past. 10,000 thoughts of the future. So you're either living in the past or you're living in the future. But the power is not the past or the future, the power is in the moment
present.
Now.
Okay, let's go to chapter number 5 now.
So the chapter number 5 is about meditation. The power of meditation. So Zoya is a mystic, she meditates, and so they discuss why meditation is important. When you become quiet, you tap into your spirit. you get inspiration in spirit, right? You get much more clarity about things because you get peace of mind. Yeah. And so they talk about what is it, how do you meditate. Near nature is very inviting for meditation because it's quiet, it's peaceful. Go to the ocean, you look at the ocean for a few minutes, you feel very relaxed because it's very neutral, right? So being in the worldly sense, in the new noise and stuff, it's very hard to meditate, and it allows us to be connected to the
I
spirit.
wanted to learn from the book. That was how Zoya is, and how did it affect the CEO? Because when we are related to the people who normally have certain habits or one or another, they affect us. How did it affect the
Yeah,
CEO?
so the CEO was realizing, the things that he was noticing, which was something he was missing in some way. Yeah, he felt that, corporate world is too busy, always money, always numbers, always deadlines, always pressure, and no time to relax, to be peaceful. In fact, he thought being quiet is a waste of time. Right? Why would you want to be doing nothing? You'd rather be doing working. Yeah, so it took a while for him to realize that by doing nothing, actually you're doing a lot.
Okay. Okay, let's go now to chapter number 6.
Number 6 is about the synergy of business, balance, and beyond. So it's all about balance. Richard was actually, in a sense, not balanced. He hadn't talked to his child. He was divorced. He's not talked to his father for many years. So he was actually quite imbalanced. And it was coming out in the discussion that he realized that he has really forgotten everything about what is important to him.
And in normal temperature and the pressure, you find people who are CEO are normally defensive. Sometimes they feel like they know it all because they're CEOs. People are reporting to them, and they would wish more of leading than understanding other people's point of view.
So that was happening.
How was it?
That was happening in the discussion. He was trying to say, so what, right? So he was, in a way, not really completely buying Zoya's philosophies, but as time evolved, they were both, and Zoya also was appreciating his things as well as they're going along. So the whole idea of this was that by them meeting, because they were so different and felt each one was not doing the right thing, in the end they both appreciated each other.
Okay.
And so the whole idea of corporate Sufi is that this guy was corporate and this lady was a Sufi, and in the end both appreciated the approach of being corporate Sufi as opposed to just corporate or just Sufi.
And what do you think they had trust on each other?
I mean, the choice was they met by accident. They're sitting beside each other. Either they talk or they don't talk. And so initially he didn't want to talk because he was busy with his work, but then they kind of got along with her somehow.
That's amazing. Let's learn from the next chapter now.
So the next chapter was about tragedy because Zoya had
That's
lost
chapter number
7.
7.
Zoya lost her, in the story, Zoya lost her young brother in an accident. What happened was she was playing outside in the rain, it was dark, and her father was driving the car. The dad didn't see the kid, and there was an accident, he died. And the whole family was very guilty for many years. So Zoya went through guilt, the parents went through, even though it was an accident, but for many years they were going through this guilt of we killed him and we were at fault, and they couldn't get over it. And this is how Zoya eventually, when she came across the Sufi belief of forgiveness or meditation of this, she began to realize that I need to forgive myself because I didn't do it purposely. I was not involved. They all felt guilty. We should have kept the kid in the house and the father should have known, but yet it was an accident. So it took many years of guilt before she realized that his time had come and he was here for a reason, and he left early, and it was unfortunate. It was an accident caused, right? And that's how when she forgave herself, she became much more free. Before she was living in guilt. So he talked about tragedy and what you can learn from tragedy.
Okay, maybe forgiving yourself is not a very common concept to many people. We normally forgive others, but we never forgive ourselves, and we carry baggages and mistakes. What is your practical guidance if we have to develop that culture to forgive ourselves?
I believe when you forgive others, you also forgive yourself. You don't forgive others, you don't forgive yourself. So people who are forgiving and learn to forgive others for the shortcomings also tend to forgive themselves.
Okay. Now what is chapter number 8?
Chapter number 8 is about tapping into your power within. That we all have enormous power within, and we don't normally tap into our power within. And here, you see the whole pendulum changes when the CEO now is telling Zoya that you have a lot of power within. You can be a great painter. and even though she's a Sufi and she's a mystic, she also gets defensive. So the story is that we are all learning. You never got it all, right? And you can learn from each other. So this part of that story then stands to now he's helping her. She helped him in the beginning to think about things he didn't know, and then he's talking about something that she didn't know, and they both were somehow defensive, but eventually come to appreciate each other.
Okay, thank you so much, Azim. This is quite an inspiring story, and we're waiting to hear more from you after the short break.
If you don't receive from others, you deprive others of giving. See, there's a power and beauty and bounty in giving. The whole process is superiority complex comes from ego, and inferiority complex also comes from ego. Most of the fear is illusion. The 95% of what you worry about never happens. We all want to give because there's power in giving. And when you become detached from your goals, even though you're compulsive goal setter, but if you're detached from the goals in the moment, the outcome becomes more better.
Welcome back to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri, and today I'm with Azim Jamal, the co-author of the book "What You Seek Is Seeking You," the book which he co-authored with Brian Tracy. Azim, before we proceed to chapter number 9, can you recap all the chapters?
So the first one was about authenticity. The second one was about coincidences. The third one was about heightened awareness. The fourth one was about being the present moment. The fifth one was about meditation. The sixth one was about business balance and beyond. The seventh one was about tragedy and meaning behind tragedy. And the eighth one was about tapping into your power within.
Okay, and the ninth one? What are they
Ninth one is about politics.
Politics?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, what happened
politics?
in the story, Richard, who's the CEO, is facing some politics in the board and stuff, and he's the CEO and he's not in the support of the board, and this is where they discuss. And so I said, this is the reason why I'm not in the corporate world, because I didn't like the politics in the corporate world. So the discussions around politics, what part it plays in company world, how people are egotistical, how people have turf wars, how people gossip. In fact, there's research done in Great Britain. Billions of dollars get wasted in this kind of stuff, politics. Right? And same thing in US through stress and all this gossip and backbiting and all that, right? So it's a lot of cost in productivity. But so the discussions around that, and then what is positive politics, what is negative politics, and so on and so forth.
Can you clarify a bit about negative politics?
So positive politics would be, for example, sometimes, you have to, I'll give you an example. I was in Joburg and I was introduced to the Vodacom CEO.
You?
I was introduced to Vodacom CEO,
okay.
but I had to meet him.
Okay.
So he was doing a session somewhere in a public setting, and he said, can you come there? And so I went there. So I was with this guy from the Dragon's Den. I mentioned to you YPO. He took me with him. So two of us went there. So then he was interviewed by some dean, about Vodacom and all that. And then it was Q&A. So he had spoken about in his speech about he doesn't have time for family because he's so busy. And so this is my favorite question, and I wanted to ask him a question about what does the family think about him not having time with them. But then I was debating, whether he'll think I'm just showing off because I had to meet him and I'm Azim, because you have to tell your name first, who you are, where you're from before you ask the question. So on the one hand, I was feeling that, if I ask him the question, he might feel now this guy wants to meet me, so he's showing off. On the other hand, I really had a genuine question. And so I asked the question, and I told him, how does the family feel about it? And then when I finished my talk, of course I met him and we introduced each other, but the dean told me that it was the best question because he said, women should have asked that question in the group.
Okay.
But my point was, it was a bit of political approach, because on the one hand I wanted to meet him, and this gave me two ways of reaching him. One was I'm going to meet him anyway, and second, by asking the question, I also introduced my topic about business balance beyond. It was a positive political move. It was not just done to show off, right?
I like that.
But there are many negative ways you can go about trying to win somebody over, right?
Thank you so much.
It's now 9.
Okay, what's number 10?
Number 10 is about the power of receiving. I always talk about the power of giving, but in this book we talk about receiving. And Zoya had difficult time receiving from Richard. Richard was trying to help her, but she was giving a lot, but then she had difficult time receiving.
Why?
And there are many people like that who like to give, but when they receive, they feel that they feel it's part of a complex as well. But think about it: if you don't receive from others, you deprive others of giving. See, there's a power and beauty and bounty in giving. So if you enjoy giving, then let other people give too. So you receive.
Zoya had difficulty in receiving what? Ideas?
Ideas, yeah.
Okay.
Richard was giving her ideas about how to build a business, painting thing, whatever, and she was kind of resisting, right? And she was feeling that he's trying to show off his knowledge. And so we all have this ego, we all have this complex six, and whatever place you are.
Zoya thought she was an authority.
I mean, she didn't think she was authority, but she was feeling that maybe he's looking down upon her because she's not ambitious.
Okay.
And he's putting his ambitious ideas onto her. And she's saying, I'm happy as I am. Why you want to give me ambition? But on the other hand, there was something about her that was making her resist, right?
Okay.
It's very complex.
Now, chapter number 11.
11 is about ego, in terms of how ego plays a part in life, you know. So Richard had ego, but Zoya also had ego. And sometimes, you know, a mystic doesn't realize that they have ego too. But it's coming out in the discussion, right? So it's quite a funny interaction where we all have egos. The question is, how much ego do you have? And when you say I mastered my ego, that's ego. So you have to be careful because the ego enters from the back door. So you have to be very vigilant about ego.
Okay, just help us in terms of examples. What happened between Richard?
Well, the thing was that when Richard was trying to help her, she was getting a bit defensive. She was kind of trying to, you know, reactive and so on and so forth. So the whole process is superiority complex comes from ego, and inferiority complex also comes from ego. So she had an inferiority complex which was coming up in the ego.
Okay, let's enjoy now chapter number 11.
So it's now number 12. 11 was the ego.
Okay,
12 is about fear. See, again, Zoe had some fear about being ambitious and being big and whatever. And Richard also had some fear in trying to confront his issues and if he wants to change his career to be able to do it because but he was also fearing about job security and all that, right? So both had fear, and in the discussion in the story this fear was playing out.
People fear in most cases, even in normal operations at work, at home. How is the book helping people to overcome that fear?
Yeah, so the whole idea is what the message in the book is that fear is an illusion. You know, it's in your mind. I mean, some things, if the lion is after you, you run. You don't say, it's an illusion, lion cannot run after me. Unless you can tame the lion with your spiritual powers, right?
Okay.
But you run, right? Or you hide, if you can, right? So the point is that, but most of the fear is illusion. You fabricate in your mind. My friend and my co-author, Nido Kubain, says that 95% of what you worry about never happens. But you worry about it anyways. So you fabricate everything in your mind, but 95% won't happen anyway.
Never happen.
So you worry about things which are not relevant. So instead of worrying about fear and fearing things, you attack the fear. Sometimes I get an email from someone and I don't want to open it. I just have some kind of bad feeling. And then the whole day I think about it, but I don't open it. But when I open it, it's nothing. So it's better to open it and get rid of it rather than worrying about it, right?
Okay. What is the next chapter?
The chapter 13 is about art of selling. So what happens in this case, when Zoya went to Turkey, she goes to visit a blue mosque or somewhere. And there was this guy who was giving a tour. So he went to Zoya and talked her into giving a tour, and he won her over, and he gave her a tour, and she paid him money, and she paid him a good tip. But he was charming. He reminded her of Johnny Depp, you know, the author, the movie star Johnny Depp. So he was like Johnny Depp, and he said something to her, and he had a good selling style. It was authentic, and so he gave her a good tour. And in that we talk about art of selling, how people sell and how people win people to win them over. As we've discussed before, that facts tell, emotion sells, and this guy was able to capture her emotionally to win her over.
Okay. Now chapter number 14.
Chapter 14 is about power of giving, in terms of, you know, we all want to give because there's power in giving, and I think in the end of the book, both of them gave to each other, even without realizing. Richard gave her the confidence that she can do better, that she has skills, that painting is not just a hobby, it can be a big business, and she can be successful. Whereas for her, she gave him the idea that you have to follow your heart, be authentic, and not get caught up. And also, in the story, there was one board member, okay, who was the one who was resisting Richard's ideas, but he never realized. And what happened is one day when he was going to the bathroom, he saw this guy, the board member who was against him, had some stain in the tie. And so he was struggling with his tie. He was now at a big meeting, and so Richard started to help him. Okay. And then they went to the store and they changed the tie and everything. And he was very appreciative of that whole thing, right? And then at the board meeting, he was the one who supported Richard. And he realized that, you know, everybody has a heart, everybody wants to be appreciated, and this giving helped him, even though he didn't do it for that reason.
Yeah, you know, Azim, chapter 14 is very important because normally people feel like if I'm a CEO, and this lady, Zoya, who is just a painter. People think like there's no connection and there's nothing which Zoya can give to the CEO. But you can see how it works here.
Yes.
And actually, Zoya didn't want money from the CEO,
Yes.
but she just wanted advice and guidance and things like that.
We can all learn from each other, right?
Definitely. Now, what is chapter number 15 all about?
15 is about zest. Zest meaning that you have a spring in your feet. When you go out to work, are you excited? So Richard was not excited for many years. He was CEO, but by meeting Zoya, suddenly he realized, he got a spring. When he helped this guy,
Why he was not excited?
because
People
he
would
was,
wonder.
he was in the business world, with all the politics and all the number crunching and all the, it was very stressful for him. It was not fun. But then when he helped this board member and the board member supported him, he realized, and he also phoned his father, who hadn't phoned him. He phoned his father 18 years later or so many years later, and he's talking to his father, and he's messing up, but he got the guts from Zoya, and then he connects with the father. And he feels so good about himself that he had a spring in his step, because all these years he was carrying the baggage of guilt.
Okay.
Not talking to his father, not talking to his son, all that stuff, right? So that gave him much more courage again.
I need a personal scorecard.
Yeah, I think it's a personal scorecard.
What is chapter number 16?
16 is the last chapter, and that's the chapter I have the most difficulty. It's a chapter about detachment. Okay? Now, I'm not detached. I'm a compulsive goal setter. I set my goals every night. I set my goals every morning. I read my goals. I write my goals. How am I going to be detached? I'm attached to my goals. Yeah, so I had difficulty with this. And then I realized, that there's a connection. You can have goals, be goal setter, but you can be detached. For example, I'm talking to you right now. My goals are very clear. I speak them loudly every night, every morning. I write them down every day. So it's very clear. When I'm talking to you right now, I'm not thinking of my goals. I'm really in the moment. But when I'm talking to you, whatever I'm saying to you is in some way connected to my goals, because it's helping me achieve my goals. The synergy of business, balance, beyond. All the things I talk about have connection. But because I'm in the moment, I'm more powerful. If I think of my goals and talk to you, then again, I'm distracted. So you can be goal setter and you can still be detached. And the power around that is that when you become detached from your goals, even though you're a compulsive goal setter, but if you're detached from the goals in the moment, the outcome becomes more better. Because you become magical in the moment. You're totally present in the moment and you're totally free and burdensome. And also when you come from a detached place, there's no lack. If you come from a place that I have not reached my goals, so you come from a lack, I haven't reached my goals, so I'm lacking something. It's a different energy. But you come from energy, yes, I have goals, but I'm detached from the goals. I'm living in the moment. So I've arrived. Different energy. Because you see me as not somebody who's lacking, somebody who's achieved it. It's there. Yes, I still have goals, but I'm detached from the goals. My goal is in the moment.
Wow. It's powerful.
Thank you.
Azim, I just want to ask you one more question with regard to the book, What You Seek is Seeking You. Some people normally, they would feel like, okay, I'm relaxing because what I'm seeking is seeking me, and just wait for miracles to happen. But the way you explain the book, I come to understand that there are so many things which are happening in the process. You spoke of authenticity, how to manage fear, ego, and things like that. What's the message, just to summarize, in terms of the theme and the objectives, and what can it do to the lives of the people?
So I think the whole theme for the book is, first of all, every accident, every interaction, every meeting has a reason. There's a rhyme and reason, but you got to be open. When you're not open, you don't get it.
Okay.
One day I was doing a talk in Calgary on relationship, marriage. It's not my main topic, but I had a lady beside me and I want to prepare my talk, and she's chatting. I'm trying to put her away. I will do it this way, but she's still chatting. Then I gave up my notes and started talking to her. And she was divorced. And she gave me some tips that were so good. And I went into my talk, all the things she told me. So everybody's coming to you to help you, but you cut down. Right? So there's that message.
So we shouldn't block people.
Yeah, that's that. And secondly is that whatever your dominant thoughts are is what you attract. If you think about something, you attract it. Richard was attracting Zoya at some deep level, and Zoya was attracting Richard without realizing. And so it's not an accident. And then if you're open, you give, you take, you receive, you give, you both win in the end. And of course, you have to have goals because they're important, but you also have to be detached from the goals so that you don't become lacking something.
Okay, Azim, if people want to get the book, where can they get it?
So the book is actually officially not out yet. It's supposed to be out in February, But we had ordered about 1,000 copies for our event in Joburg and in Tanzania, where we had got the books out. So best way is to go to my website, corporatesufi.com, and then I can guide them how they can get the book.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us a bit of what is in the book, What to Seek is Seeking You. Definitely it is a life-changing, inspirational book.
Pleasure.
Yeah. You're watching Masterclass series with Paul Mashauri and Azim Jamal, and today we're discussing the book which is coming soon, What You Seek is Seeking You, authored by Azim Jamal and Brad Tracy. Thanks for watching and see us next time.